We're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 12, text number 7. Pardon? What?
Number 6. 6 number.
6 is on the board. 6. Hare Krishna. This is the birth of Emperor Parikshit. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Kimti kāmāḥ sura-spārhā mukunda-manaso dvijāḥ adhijahrur mudam kṣudhitasya yathetare kimti kāmāḥ sura-spārhā mukunda-manaso dvijāḥ adhijahrur mudam kṣudhitasya yathetare kimte kāmāḥ sura-spārhā mukunda-manaso dvijāḥ adhijahrur mudam kṣudhitasya yathetare mukunda-manaso dvijāḥ adhijahrur mudam kimti kāmāḥ sura-spārhā mukunda-manaso dvijāḥ adhijahrur mudam kṣudhitasya yathetare kimti kāmāḥ sura-spārhā mukunda-manaso dvijāḥ kṣudhitasya yathetare. mukunda-manaso dvijāḥ mudam kṣudhitasya yathetare kimti kāmāḥ sura-spārhā mukunda-manaso dvijāḥ adhijahrur mudam kṣudhitasya yathetare kimti kāmāḥ sura-spārhā mukunda-manaso dvijāḥ adhijahrur mudam kṣudhitasya yathetare Kim. What for? Te. All those. Kāmāḥ. Objects of sense enjoyment. Surya. The denizens of heaven. Spārhāḥ. Aspirations. Mukunda-manaso. Of one who's already God conscious. Dvijāḥ. brāhmaṇas. adhijahrur. Good satisfied. Mudam. Pleasure. Rājñaḥ. Of the king. kṣudhitasya. Of the hungry. Yathā. As it is. Itare. In other things. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace of Jananivasa Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O brāhmaṇas, the opulence of the king was so enchanting that the denizens of heaven aspired for it. But because he was absorbed in the service of the Lord, nothing could satisfy him except the Lord's service. Please repeat. O brāhmaṇas, the opulence of the king was so enchanting that the denizens of heaven aspired for it. But because he was absorbed in the service of the Lord, nothing could satisfy him except the Lord's service. Purport by Srila Prabhu. There are two things in this world which can satisfy living beings. When one is materially engrossed, he is satisfied by sense gratification. But when one is liberated from the conditions of the material modes, he is satisfied only by rendering loving service for the satisfaction of the Lord. This means that the living being is constitutionally a servitor and not one who is served. Being illusioned by the condition of the external energy, one falsely thinks himself to be the served, but actually he is not served. He is servant of the senses, like lust, anger, avarice, pride, madness, and intolerance. When one is in his proper senses by attainment of spiritual knowledge, he realizes he is not the master of the material world, but only a servant of the senses. At that time, he begs for the service of the Lord and thus becomes happy without being illusioned by the so-called material happiness. Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira was one of the liberated souls, and therefore for him there was no pleasure in the vast kingdom, good wife, obedient brothers, happy subjects, and prosperous world. These blessings automatically follow a pure devotee, even though the devotees do not aspire for them. The example set herein is exactly suitable. It is said that when one who is hungry is never satisfied by any other thing but food. The example is set herein is exactly suitable. It is said that one who is hungry is never satisfied by anything other than food. The whole material world is full of hungry living beings. The hunger is not for good food, good shelter, good sense gratification. The hunger is for spiritual atmosphere. Due to ignorance only, we think the world is dissatisfied because there is not sufficient food, shelter, defense, and objects of sense gratification. This is called illusion. When a living being is hungry for spiritual satisfaction, he is misrepresented by material hunger. But the foolish leaders cannot see that even people who are most sumptuously materially satisfied are still hungry. And what is that hungry and poverty? This hunger is actually for spiritual food, spiritual shelter, spiritual defense, and spiritual sense gratification. These can be attained in the association of the Supreme Spirit, Lord Sri Krishna. And therefore, one who has them cannot be attracted by the so-called food, shelter, defense, and sense gratification of the material world, even if they are relished by the denizens of the heavenly planet. Therefore, in Bhagavad Gita 8:16, it is said by the Lord that even in the topmost planet of the material of the universe, namely Brahmaloka, where the duration of life is multiplied by millions of years by earth calculation, one cannot satisfy his hunger. Such hunger can be satisfied only when the living being is satisfied, when the living being is situated in immortality, which is attained in the spiritual sky, far, far above Brahmaloka, in the association of Lord Mukunda, the Lord who awards devotees the transcendental pleasure of liberation. Om Akyanti Mirandasya Janandanan Shalakayo Chakshudamalitandina Tasmai Shri Girima Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So it's given a nice example here. A person who is hungry, nothing's going to satisfy him except food. When you put food in his stomach, oh, at last it's relieved from my hunger. Otherwise, no amount of opulence can satisfy everyone. For Prabhupada gives the example, just like a fish, you take him out of the water and he's jumping on the floor. You can say, you know, Mr. Fish, we got some sense enjoyment for you. Some nice food here, some fish, some fish food. Anything else you want? We got a fan to keep you cool. No, he's out of the water. He wants the only thing that makes him happy. You put him back in the water, then he becomes happy. So, it's another example of the baby. The baby is in the mother's lap. The baby's crying and crying, and the mother, she's gucci, and she does all this with the baby. And baby's crying, so she gives to the next Mataji. The next Mataji says, gucci. Still crying. She goes to the next Mataji. Still crying. So then she comes to the original mother. Satisfaction. She's peaceful and satisfied. So, Prabhupada is saying that everybody is hungry for the spiritual atmosphere. There is another atmosphere. It's called Turiya. fourth dimension. Many names, Brahman, spirit. So that we belong in that atmosphere of serving Krishna to bring Krishna pleasure, for his pleasure. That's the atmosphere we belong in. And Srila Prabhupada, he finishes Bhagavad Gita as it is. And the very last chapter, the very last verse, very last paragraph, that Prabhupada said the living entity, by nature he is spirit. And he belongs in that, by proper use, the living entity is spirit, but he has minute independence also. So proper use of this independence, he can situate himself again in the pleasure-giving potency of the Lord. The pleasure-giving potency is the Haladini potency, Srimati Radharani. So this is where the living entity belongs, in this atmosphere which is, we know as Goloka, Vrindavan, where as followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Radha and Krishna. We belong in that atmosphere of bringing Radha and Krishna together. This is the Vrindavan pastime, Radha and Krishna. Bring Radha and Krishna together. This is for their happiness. Then separate Radha and Krishna, also for their happiness, in separation. Then again bringing, this is Krishna's pastime throughout the day, meeting Radha and separation, Shambho Vipulam. So this is all conducted in the spiritual atmosphere, Yogamaya, or the Haladini potency, is the loving potency. Krishna's favorite potency, because Krishna, he loves the best. So Prabhupada's bringing us to this conclusion at the end of Bhagavad Gita, the last sentence, that living entities belong in this atmosphere where everybody is serving Radha and Krishna, bringing Radha and Krishna together. We all belong there. That's where Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is taking us. As follows with Prabhupada and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So then one is happy when he is situated in his natural constitutional nature of service to Radha and Krishna, to bring them pleasure, for their pleasure. We want to situate ourselves in that atmosphere. That's why we're always engaged in service, whole day, all night, engaging in service, because that creates the spiritual atmosphere, because we are the eternal servants of Krishna. Jivaya Sarupaya Nitya Krishna Das. We are the eternal servants of Krishna. Mahaprabhu was quoting from Padma-purana, Naham Vichvanarapati Navaishana Shudro. I'm not a brāhmana, I'm not a Kshatriya, not a Vaishya, not a Sudra, not a sannyasi, not a brahmachari, not a grihastha, not a vanaprastha. No, all negative. But what is positive? I identify myself only as the servant of the servant of the servant of the master of the gopis, Sri Krishna. Who is the master means? Not. He's the master. The master of the gopis. So Gopinath. So this is our constitutional nature, our identity. If we are followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has given us this as our identity. Gopi Padakamalaya Das Das Anudas. servant of the master of the gopis. So master of the gopis means nat, master and so Gopinath. Gopinath is our Ishtadeva, our ultimate worshipful object, person. Gopinath. So he is our Abhideya deity, the deity of Abhideya. We get these three principles: Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. Sambandha means relationship, establishing relationship. Abhideya means to put it into practice, to the process. And Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana, the goal of, or the achievement by making an attachment, making a relationship, putting it into practice, and the result is the Prayojana means the love of Godhead. Becomes love of God. So Mahaprabhu said, this is all that's being taught in the Vedas. Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. Every little thing you do follows this principle. Prabhupada gives an example. A man, he wants to start some business. So first he makes a relationship with those in the business. So sambandha, so he makes that connection, makes a relationship. And then he starts to put it into practice. And he thinks, well, I'm picking it up okay, I think I can do it. So then he puts it into full practice, and as a result he gets his goods. Prabhu said nuts and bolts, he wants to manufacture nuts and so then he puts it into practice, he gets his nuts and bolts, and he sells it in the market, and then he gets his money. So that's the prayojana. The result was he gets his money. Through that business. So every little thing we do actually comprises of these three aspects: Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. Someone says, I'm very hungry. And then someone says, you should drink water. So really? Yes, go ahead, water. So he goes and gets water, gets his bottle of bisali, and he's got the bisali, and he says, but I got the bisali, you told me to get water. I made a connection with water, sambandha. But I'm still thirsty. No, there's a process here. After you've got water, you've got to take off the top, and then you've got to put it in a glass, or directly you can hold the bottle and drink it. Oh really? Okay, let me put that into practice. So then he opens the bottle and he pours it into his mouth, and as a result, that's it. Yes, he's satisfied. His thirst was quenched. That was his idea, to quench the thirst. So every little thing where you do, it comprises of these three things. If you study anything as you go along during the course of the day, you'll see that whatever little thing you do, it comprises of these three movements: Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. So Prayojana means the goal, the final goal. So our final goal in spiritual life is Gopinath, Krishna, that has Gopinath, master of the gopis. So we have our identity. If you don't know your identity, then learn from Mahaprabhu. We are servant of the master of the gopis, Sri Krishna. So, when we come to this position of understanding that we are servant, we are not master, we are the servant, then we actually become happy. That is the constitutional nature of the living entity. God is one and he becomes many. It's the aphorism. God is one and he becomes many. The next question is, why? Why does he become many? And the answer is, for pleasure. God expands himself into many. We are the many. He is that one. So he expands himself as many. Why? For have a relationship. Without a relationship, there is no pleasure. Because love takes two. I love you, you love me. So, this is the Krishna consciousness practice in and then we get the result. Love of Krishna. So this is defined as final goal of life, prem pumata pumam. The ultimate final goal of life, according to Mahaprabhu, is to love God. So we love God in the form of Gopinath. And all the other forms, of course, not that we don't love. But Gopinath is the greatest, Gopinath, the master, the enjoyer of the gopis, that's Krishna's greatest pleasure. So therefore, as devotees, we want Krishna's pleasure, but we want Krishna's greatest pleasure. And what is his greatest pleasure? That is Gopinath. On the other side of the river from here, the Rashasali is the Gopinath, master of all the gopis. Bhaktivinoda Thakur had the vision, thousands, millions of gopis. They're dancing Rasalila with Krishna. Just on the other side of the Ganga bank. And what are all those thousands of gopis? They're there. They're interested in Krishna's pleasure, Gopinath's pleasure. Why did Radharani disappear from the Rasa arena? They were thinking, gopis were thinking, we are very lucky, we're very fortunate to be able to. So they were thinking themselves a little bit private. They could actually be with Krishna and dance with Krishna. So then Radharani, she wanted Krishna's greatest pleasure, that has no motivation. So she disappeared from the scene. Because she wanted Krishna's greatest pleasure. So this is a devotee, we want Krishna's pleasure, but we want greatest pleasure. Therefore you see Mahaprabhu, Gopi Paryakamata. We want Krishna's pleasure. And Krishna with the gopis. This is greatest pleasure. So that's our business. We want to unite Radha and Krishna. This should be our business. This is the business of everyone in this Haladini atmosphere, this Haladini potency, this studio, this fourth dimension. It's meant for this purpose. Everybody should be serving God, and that's fantastic. But different ways of serving. So the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they have the greatest understanding, the greatest philosophers. Specifically, they're dealing with madhujirasa, shakirasa, and parental relationships, these spontaneous relationships that go on in Vrindavan. Just like here we have Radha Damodar, and we're offering lambs. And this is one of the very good things you can do during this month. Offer a lamb for Radha Damodar. But some people are worshipping Krishna as friend, some people are worshipping as mother. So these relationships are there. And Yasoda is there, and Krishna is there, and the stick is there in Mother Yasoda's hand, and Krishna is, Mummy, I've been an offender, please don't beat me, don't beat me. She was looking at that stick. Of course, Yasoda would never hit Krishna, but she showed him the stick. And Krishna's pearl necklace was ching, 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 ching. His body was shaken out. So those who are interested in Vatsala Rasa, they get great happiness from seeing these wonderful pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan. So the devotees, real devotees of Krishna, they want to give Krishna his greatest happiness. So this is the happiness that's found in Vrindavan. That's why Krishna never takes one footstep out of Vrindavan, because he likes it so much in Vrindavan. He never wants to leave. So the devotees, they want to assist Krishna in Vrindavan and serve him in Vrindavan. They want Krishna's greatest satisfaction. So this is called the spiritual atmosphere. It has to be created somehow or another. And that's done through service. We're always emphasizing service. We're emphasizing service, but Krishna, he doesn't really need any service. He's got everything, everything belongs to him. But service is the medium in which you can express yourself through. The service becomes a medium to express your love through that service. So it's not actually the service, we're always anxious for it, but the purpose of the service, or the medium. It's a medium. You can express your love for Krishna. How else can you express yourself in love without service? There has to be relationship. But we're always stressing service, because through this service you can express your emotions, and that's what Krishna wants, your emotional, loving feelings. So that is the purpose of the Seva. Sambandha abhitaya prayojana. So this is Krishna consciousness. The way Prabhupada set up Krishna consciousness, that the Krishna Consciousness movement, ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, is a movement of abhidaya, the process, Krishna conscious process. So we put it into process. So Krishna consciousness is giving the process of devotional service. First thing you do when you go to a temple or you meet some devotees, they will give you something, they'll buy a book, you have a relationship. Come to the temple, see the festival. Can you help us clean the floors? And if somehow or another you get, the devotees give you service. So the Krishna Consciousness movement, the way Prabhupada designed it, is the process of abhideya. Krishna consciousness means forming activities for Krishna's pleasure. So this is a great thing. As Rupa Goswami, his deity is Govinda. Govinda is the deity of abhideya. So it follows of Rupa Goswami also. Govinda. So Sambandha, relationship, this takes thousands and thousands of births to come to this point. What does Krishna say? After thousands and thousands of births of being a jnani, you're searching for the truth, you're serious, you're sincere, you're looking for truth. For thousands and thousands of births, you come to this conclusion. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. That Krishna is everything. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vasudeva. To get to this point of Vasudeva, it took thousands and thousands of births. The Prabhupada said, this is what Krishna is saying, Bhavanam Jananivasa. After thousands and thousands of births, you come to the point of surrendering to Krishna, accepting Krishna as everything. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. That's the beginning, that's your sambandha. Now you've got a relationship with Krishna. After thousands and thousands of births. You get relationship with Krishna. That's the first. And so, sambandha there is. And then when you accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then you put it into practice, the serving Krishna. The process, abhideya. So that thousands and thousands of births, you could come to Krishna Consciousness movement, and devotees, they say, you know you're not the body? No, I didn't know that. You're Krishna's eternal servant. Oh, I didn't know that. Anyway, now you know that you are Krishna's servant and He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So He accepts that. Then you say, so that's sambandha, relationship. Then come on, we go and do some sankirtan, or we do some book distribution, and wash the pots, abhideya. So this is sambandha abhideya. The sambandha took thousands and thousands of births. to come to the point of everyday. This means that what takes thousands and thousands of births, when you meet a devotee of the Lord, he gives you that sambandha in one day. He tells you who you are, you're Krishna's servant, and Krishna's the supreme person of the Godhead. One day, which takes thousands and thousands of births for the jnanis who are really serious about becoming Krishna consciousness. That day one you getting Krishna, you go to the temple and meet the devotees. Day one you get sambandha and abhidaya. You get your relationship with Krishna and you get service to Krishna. Process. One day. So Prabhupada said here, Krishna is saying that after thousands of births you'll come to this point of Vasudeva Sharvamit. So Prabhupada said, I'm telling you, it can take thousands of births, but if you come to Krishna consciousness, you can become, in one day you can become Krishna conscious. Sambandha and abhidaya. So Prabhupada said, I'm telling you this, it takes thousands of births to come to this conclusion. If you hear me and you accept me, Prabhupada said, then you skip thousands and thousands and thousands of births. Because you know the conclusion of thousands and thousands of births. After thousands of births. You know the conclusion, so you skip. Prabhupada said you skip all those thousands of births and come directly to Krishna consciousness. Yeah, so Prabhupada is designed the International Society of Krishna Consciousness for this, giving us service to Krishna and relationship with Krishna in one day. And some people get 3 in one day. They get the prayojana, they start to feel ecstasy in one day. One brother of mine, Australia, he saw the devotees on the street, they were dancing. And he said, I just saw them, I just ran towards them. And I just danced with them, and I was jumping up and down, and all ecstatic symptoms were appearing in my body. Never ever seen a devotee before. Just heard that vibration, and he saw the devotees in ecstasy, jumping up and down like that, and falling on the floor and crying. He said it was uncontrollable. He had never seen or heard of them, devotees. Sambandha abhidaya prayojana, 3 in one day. Otherwise, billions of births. So we have to create this atmosphere here where we can serve Krishna on the spiritual platform. So we have service and we create nice things for Krishna, create nice atmospheres. To create this atmosphere, this spiritual, transcendental atmosphere. This is why we're always doing Harinam Sankirtan. It's generating a spiritual atmosphere. Whatever we do in our service is generating spiritual life. So it's not, the proper atmosphere is being felt by devotional service. And we have so many types of different devotional service. So that creates a spiritual atmosphere, a spiritual feeling. I used to have a service to Srila Prabhupada, and I would take the frankincense into his room every day after the offering to Radha Madhava. And anyway, I had a daily service and just make a lot of smoke in Prabhupada's room. And he liked me to make more smoke. And it became very thick, and you could hardly see anything after some time. And so we we actually thought it was for getting rid of mosquitoes. So we were doing it. Anyway, the last time Prabhupada was here, and I went into his room and I said, frankincense to Prabhupada? And generally he would like nod his head like, means yes. And Prabhupada was just sitting in his desk there, chanting japa very softly. And then I would start putting the smoke, and I had a fan to increase the smoke and everything. And then the smoke was coming up, and Prabhupada was just sitting there chanting Hare Krishna. Then he opened his eyes and he looked up at me and he said, "This creates such an atmosphere of spiritual understanding." He said, "This is so nice, so nice. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna." So Prabhupada really appreciated the atmosphere of the smoke. We thought it was to get rid of mosquitoes all those years, but it was it was just the atmosphere it created. Prabhupada liked it. So Prabhupada also criticized when it was necessary. And he said that actually I'm the only one who openly criticizes. Everyone's scared to criticize because they'll get revealed. Revealed of their lack of knowledge and understanding. But Prabhupada, he knew the truth. The absolute truth. He was with Krishna. So he could speak very boldly. And anyone, he's talking to those theologians. You see that video. Anyone who doesn't accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is a madman. And these priests were kind of a bit shocked to hear that. And one said, well, wouldn't it be better to say he was like, not mad, but illusioned or misguided or whatever. And Prabhupada said, yes, he said, mad is the sum total of all madness and illusion, of all illusions and something like that. Mad is the sum total. I'm the only one who openly criticizes. Not religionists, not only religionists, but anyone who falls short of complete surrender to Krishna, which kind of covers the whole world, I think. Nobody's teaching this Krishna consciousness, service to Krishna. So, I was in Radhana. There was one ex-ISKCON devotee there. He joined their Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira. He had priests. And he's talking to us and he says, but you're ISKCON, he said, you shouldn't criticize others. You shouldn't criticize others. So we have criticism in our life. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would criticize like anything. Devananda, you think you're studying Bhagavatam, you know Bhagavatam, you don't So it's our movement. But don't criticize. This is our only request of this content. And so we do criticize. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu criticize. Prabhupada criticize. For constructive purposes. And all the others, they're simply misleading everyone. So who is giving that service we need more than anything else? We are the eternal servants of Krishna. We need service more than anything else. But who is giving that service? But we want service, we mothers. Mother and fathers, are they giving our service to Krishna? Politicians, scientists, they're giving our service to Krishna. Our teachers, they are giving our service to Krishna. Who is giving us service to Krishna? No one's giving us except Prabhupada. Prabhupada. I got the message from your father, Krishna. I got the books. I got the books. Take the books. I got the books. This is Prabhupada. Nobody else who's giving us service, but here is service. I got the books, got the chanting, got the deities. So this is Prabhupada's greatness. He gave us the process, abhidaya, devotional service. There's a nice purport in the Chaitanya. And Bhakti-siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he gives a big long list of different types of personalities, and practically he lists everyone. Everyone will come under one of these categories or another. And when you read it, you see he's covered everything. The religionists, the scientists, the varnashrams, the yogis, the jnanis, the kāmāḥ, ordinarily religious people. And they all come under, well, none of them come under the process of service. I'll tell you where it's from. You can read it later because it's really good. It's from the Madhya Lila 17, text 135. 135, chapter 17. Madhya Lila 17, text 185. And he quotes all these different philosophers, the 6 philosophers, and he goes on establishing what is Mahājan is a discussion, and he's all the different religions. He goes on and on. Finally, you realize he's covered practically every person in every walk of life. Yeah. As not understanding the ultimate purpose of service to Krishna and love for Krishna. Anyway, hungry for spiritual life. That's what we should be, as Prabhupada is saying. That hungry means we should hungry for service to Krishna. We should always be hungry. That will create the spiritual environment. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Srimad Bhagavatam ki. It's already past 9. Hare Krishna. Sri Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shamaveda Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Thank you. I'm suffering from loss of memory, short-term loss of memory. So therefore I'm not very fluent. Short-term memory. Hare Krishna. Anyway, thank you for tolerating.